Now, back to the Big Dumb Fun Show.
Back on the Big Dumb Fun Show. Give us a call, 888-832-7561. Be live on the air Monday, 7 to 10 p.m. Central Standard Time the rest of the week. Leave us a random-ass voicemail message. We might play it on the air.
Oh, you want me to say something?
You could say something.
You've been trusting me.
I don't just have to carry all of this myself.
I'm very impressed that you're trusting me to record the show. You didn't really even check with me this time.
No, but I did give you a count, so you knew.
You did, but how did you know that I clicked it?
I didn't know. I'm just trusting you.
You're very trusting.
This might just be an audio-only show.
Or just video only, you mean?
It might be video with no audio.
Right, exactly. But no, we're going right now, so we know we have this segment for sure. So
cool.
Carry on.
Well,
carry on.
You could host too here.
No, it's your
not
show.
Here by myself.
I like listening.
Guest hosting is half of the battle.
But when you have a guy who knows his stuff like Gary, it's just good. You just have to ask one question, and Gary just tells a story. And I like listening to him. It's engaging.
And that's why I wanted to get him in here, because I knew he's got some stories. He has heard some stuff from the mouths of the men that did it.
That's correct.
And it's not good stuff. I mean, it is. It's like, man, this is
depends on whose side you're on.
This is amazing. Like, can you believe that this is what they're really talking about? But the fact of the matter is that this is American history.
Yes, it is. It's Kansas City history, and it's American history. This was this whole investigation. If you think about it, it exposed the Mafia, the Midwest Mafia, the Chicago, Cleveland, Milwaukee, and Kansas City Mafia. It exposed their complete control and domination of the highest echelons of the Teamsters Union. Now, if you think about the International Teamsters Union and how much money they had and still have and control and what a political power they are, they can help elect the president of the United States, the Teamsters Union. At that time, they could. Unions, ever since Ronnie Reagan, unions haven't had the power that they once had. But at that point in time, in the 70s, they could help elect a president of the United States. And these guys controlled the Teamsters Union. They controlled the heads of it and the international heads in Chicago, and Roy Lee Williams in Kansas City, and Jackie Presser in Cleveland, and a guy named Frank Rainey in Milwaukee. And each of those mob bosses of those cities controlled those people. And if they wanted a $62 million loan out of the Central States Teamsters Pension Fund to go to a casino to a man who was unqualified, they got it done.
But the mob, in that way, built Vegas.
Well, yeah, they did. Yeah, they were huge. I mean, that Bugsy Siegel got it started, and I mean, they were naturals. Who's involved in gambling? Who knows about gambling? The mob does. Square John people don't know about gambling. They know how to gamble, maybe, but
they don't necessarily know how to run a gambling
They don't know how to
operation.
run it. The mob had been running sportsbook and illegal gaming for years. In this city, out in the country, up in Parkville, there was Eddie Spitz Otishay had the country clubs that were just outside the city limits. Always had illegal gaming, and the mob ran it. I mean, who else knows how to do that but the mob? So they ran it, and in every major city they ran sportsbook and illegal games. So when you open it up to legal games, then it's just by natural flow of things, the mob's going to move in and help you get it going and help run it.
Well, a lot of mob, isn't it? The front is to have a legitimate business.
Oh, correct. Yeah, you got to do something with that money.
Yeah, I mean, you can't just keep it in a mattress.
Right. It's doesn't do any good to keep it in a mattress much. Inflation will devalue it.
Yeah.
Plus, the more businesses you have, the more power you've got and connections you have, and political power. Political power is the next thing. The money then buys the politicians. And at one time in Kansas City, Missouri, and Chicago, and Cleveland and Milwaukee, they pretty much owned the politicians that ran those cities and those counties. In the 50s, 60s, and 70s, they started losing that power. And this, when they lost the Teamsters Union, they lost that political power because they lost that legitimacy and that legitimate source of income or money to go to these politicians. Because you can't, if you're a politician, if you're running for mayor of Kansas City, you can't have one of the Sabella family or whoever's running it now, and the Camasanos walk up to you and hand you $5,000 to buy ads with, can you? You wouldn't
I
dare.
thought, but his business, if he had
You
a
wouldn't dare do
legitimate
that,
business,
but-
he could
right, correct.
He could take that and say, well,
Correct.
hey, we're going to contribute to your campaign fund.
Correct. That's what they were doing in Las Vegas. I've got some of the wiretap audio. There's a man named Carl Thomas who was real well respected in Las Vegas gaming at the time and was helping to run the Tropicana, but Savell owned him. And so some of the wiretap, he says, well, Rose, they had a code name for him. His name was Bob Rose. He was running for governor in 1978. And they called him Gardenia over the wires, and they said Gardenia needs some money, and at the last minute, and so he said CT, who's Carl Thomas, CT said he took his little pail and took him a bunch of money, and so then
How
they
many
went.
sandwiches did he get?
We don't know, but I understand that. And when this all came down, they started giving the money back because it came down the next year or so. But Governor Ray he didn't win the election. And Rose's defense, he didn't know. He thought it was coming from Carl Thomas. And so another one, the sheriff that won, John McCarthy, was Square John. You ever watch this TV show Vegas that my friend Nick Pileggi produced recently?
Mm-mm.
Well, it's about the sheriff in Las Vegas just prior to 1978, and he was a cowboy, and so he got beat by one of his deputies, a man named John McCarthy, who was much more professional in 1978, But Carl Thomas gave him a lot of money and financed his victory party. And so Nick Savella, the mob boss in Kansas City, is talking to the underboss, Tuffy DeLuna, at this law office that we had a bug in. And he said, I told him, I said, now, you got this guy. He said, don't let every little shit and turd that comes up to you know that you got this guy. You save him for something big. So that's how they dealt with it. And now McCarthy, he didn't have McCarthy. McCarthy actually cleaned up the sheriff's office a little more. It wasn't too bad then, and he cleaned it up even more and really joined forces with the FBI and helped put the Joe Pesci character from Casino, Tony Spilotro, put him away. The locals out there really worked on Joe Pesci or Tony Spilotro and put him away. I say that because it's a lot easier for people to know.
Relate to
they
who
know
it
who
is.
Joe Pesci
yeah.
is. They don't know who Tony Spilotro is many times, but they were exactly alike.
But
The
that
characters were
was
exactly alike.
Joe Pesci's character was
like the real Tony Spilotro.
Yeah.
He was bad. He truly did kill a guy by squeezing his head in a vice until his eyeballs popped out. So
Yeah.
he's a bad dude.
Man, well, there's so much to talk about. We've even got some sound clips we're going to play from Gangland Wire, which will be screening on Thursday as a benefit for
the Kansas City Police Care Team.
over at the Crown Center. Then
Crown Center.
Friday through the 21st is a run of screenings every day
Correct. I think it's 1:45 and 6:30 every day.
at Screenland Crown Center. More when we come back on the Big Dumb Fun Show.